Finished.
Finished.
I'm almost finished. Are you finished with my tools yet?
It took a long time to do, but the finished product was worth it.
The painting began to look like the finished article.
If the bank refuses to increase our loan, we're finished.
Finishing line.
Finishing line.
James crossed the finish line in just under 4 minutes.
Finishing school.
Finishing school.
Finite.
Finite.
The Earth's finite resources.
Think.
Think.
Fjord.
Fjord.
Fir.
Fir.
A fir tree.
Fir cone.
Fir cone.
Fire.
Fire.
The warehouse was completely destroyed by fire.
30 people died in a fire in downtown Chicago.
Police think that the fire was started deliberately. Police think that the fire was started deliberately. Police think that the fire was started deliberately. Rioters set fire to a whole row of stores.
Within minutes, the entire building was on fire.
You put up the tent, and I'll make a fire.
Can you help me light the fire? The fire has almost gone out. They all sat around the campfire singing songs. The fire was still smouldering in the grate. Come and sit by the fire. They dried their clothes in front of an open fire.
A gas fire.
An electric fire.
Turn on the fire, I'm cold.
Troops opened fire on the demonstrators. These women did vital work often under enemy fire. These women did vital work often under enemy fire.
The rebels agreed to hold their fire.
Rail chiefs came under fire after raising train fares. Rail chiefs came under fire after raising train fares.
Our patrol came under fire from rooftop gunmen. Our patrol came under fire from rooftop gunmen.
The fire of religious fanaticism. Ali returned to boxing with a new fire in his belly.
Soldiers fired on the crowd.
The police fired 2 shots at the suspects before they surrendered.
The sound of a gun being fired.
Guerrillas fired 5 rockets at the Capitol yesterday, killing 23 people. Guerrillas fired 5 rockets at the Capitol yesterday, killing 23 people. She didn't want to get fired. I've just been fired from my job, and I don't know what to do.
The airline fired him for being drunk.
I was fired with enthusiasm to go traveling in Asia.
Stories of magic and adventure that fire children's imaginations.
A gas-fired stove.
A coal-fired boiler.
Fired earthenware.
When the team's firing on all cylinders, they can beat the best in the league. When the team's firing on all cylinders, they can beat the best in the league. Do you mind if I ask you something, Woody? Fire away.
President Bush has fired back at his critics.
Chuck reloaded and fired off both barrels. Mexicans have a tradition of firing off guns to welcome in the new year.
I fired off a furious letter to the editor.
It was alarming the way she got so fired up about small things. It was alarming the way she got so fired up about small things. It was alarming the way she got so fired up about small things.
Fire alarm.
Fire alarm.
We were in the middle of an exam when the fire alarm went off. Someone set off the fire alarm.
Fire ant.
Fire ant.
Firearm.
Firearm.
He was charged with illegal possession of a firearm.
Fireball.
Fireball.
The jet exploded in midair and turned into a fireball.
Firebomb.
Firebomb.
His home was firebombed by animal rights activists.
Firebrand.
Firebrand.
An idealistic young firebrand from the valleys.
Firebreak.
Firebreak.
Firebrick.
Firebrick.
Fire brigade.
Fire brigade.
Firebug.
Firebug.
Fire chief.
Fire chief.
Firecracker.
Firecracker.
Fire department.
Fire department.
Fire door.
Fire door.
Fire drill.
Fire drill.
Fire eater.
Fire eater.
Fire engine.
Fire engine.
Fire escape.
Fire escape.
Fire exit.
Fire exit.
Fire extinguisher.
Fire extinguisher.
Firefighter.
Firefighter.
Firefighting.
Firefighting.
Firefly.
Firefly.
Fireguard.
Fireguard.
Firehouse.
Firehouse.
Fire hydrant.
Fire hydrant.
Fire iron.
Fire iron.
Firelight.
Firelight.
The room glowed in the firelight.
Firelighter.
Firelighter.
Fireman.
Fireman.
Fireplace.
Fireplace.
Firepower.
Firepower.
There is no shortage of financial firepower to fund atomic research. Fireproof.
Fireproof.
Fireproof clothing.
Fire raising.
Fire raising.
Fire raising.
Fire retardant.
Fire retardant.
Furniture treated with fire-retardant chemicals.
Fire sale.
Fire sale.
Fire screen.
Fire screen.
Fire service.
Fire service.
Fireside.
Fireside.
A cat dozing by the fireside.
Fire station.
Fire station.
Firestorm.
Firestorm.
Green's proposal provoked a firestorm of protests. Green's proposal provoked a firestorm of protests.
Firetrap.
Firetrap.
Fire truck.
Fire truck.
Firewall.
Firewall.
Firewater.
Firewater.
Firewood.
Firewood.
Firework.
Firework.
A New Year's Eve fireworks display.
Jeff and David were in the backyard setting off fireworks.
There'll be fireworks if I get home late again.
The real fireworks are provided by Shakespeare's poetry.
Firing line.
Firing line.
Firing squad.
Firing squad.
Firm.
Firm.
She works for an electronics firm. Kevin is with a firm of accountants in Birmingham. Kevin is with a firm of accountants in Birmingham. Kevin is with a firm of accountants in Birmingham.
The sofa cushions are fairly firm. A firm green apple.
Most doctors recommend sleeping on a firm mattress.
Make sure the ladder feels firm before you climb up.
A concrete foundation was poured after digging down to firm ground.
Mount the tanks side by side on a firm base.
Our client hasn't reached a firm decision on the matter yet. Our client hasn't reached a firm decision on the matter yet.
Blackpool remains a firm favourite with holiday makers from Northern Ireland. Blackpool remains a firm favourite with holiday makers from Northern Ireland.
Corrie was always a firm believer in prayer. Corrie was always a firm believer in prayer.
They made a firm offer on the house over the weekend.
Diana and Laura have been firm friends since their early teens.
Cal replied with a polite but firm no.
What this country needs is firm leadership.
You need to be firm with her or she'll try to take advantage of you.
He took a firm grip of my arm and marched me towards the door.
A firm handshake. Jones is urging Christians to stand firm against abortion.
These children need a firm hand. The pound is still firm against the dollar.
We're hoping to firm up the deal later this month. We're hoping to firm up the deal later this month.
Firmament.
Firmament.
Firmware.
Firmware.
First.
First.
Ella was his first girlfriend.
The first time I flew on a plane, I was really nervous.
In the first year, all students take 5 courses.
He said the first thing that came into his head. The first step towards achieving a peace agreement. He said the first thing that came into his head.
There's a meeting on the first Monday of every month.
I only read the first 2 chapters of the book. It rained during the first few days of the trip.
The first and last mountain I climbed was Mount Rundle.
For the first time in his life, he felt truly happy. The survey revealed that, for the first time, there are more women in the workplace than men. Not for the first time, she wondered how he coped with so many children.
Our first priority is to maintain the standard of work.
As I see it, my first responsibility is to my family.
Why did you agree to meet her in the first place?
He wouldn't have given you the job in the first place if he didn't think you could do it.
Her success was secured by 2 factors. In the first place, she had the support of managers.
The appointment of research officer will be for 2 years in the first instance.
Inquiries should be made in the first instance to the Human Resources Director.
At first glance, the twins looked identical. At first sight, there didn't appear to be much damage.
Many people have seen the horrors of war at first hand.
She won first prize in a painting competition.
There is a first prize of £10,000.
John was our first choice as a name for the baby.
I'll call you first thing tomorrow.
We're leaving first thing.
The search will resume at first light tomorrow. The search will resume at first light tomorrow.
He was glad she had made the first move and kissed him.
I wouldn't have the first idea about what to do in that situation. I wouldn't have the first idea about what to do in that situation.
I don't know the first thing about cars. He was no longer in the first flush of youth. He was no longer in the first flush of youth.
The first flush of enthusiasm had passed.
The first officer.
First Lord of the Admiralty.
Cindy and Joe arrived first.
An extra 5 points will be given to the team that finishes first. First of all, we'd better make sure we've got everything we need.
I'll join you in a minute, but I need to make a phone call first. The book was first published in 2000.
When we were first married, we lived in Toronto.
We first became friends when we worked together.
First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming.
First off, I'd like you all to fill in an evaluation sheet.
First off, I didn't agree with the comments in your email.
First up is the blues song, Mississippi Lad.
We need to choose energy policies that put the environment first. We need to choose energy policies that put the environment first.
Businesses should always put the customer first. Businesses should always put the customer first.
The care and well-being of patients should always come first.
As far as I'm concerned, the children come first.
Business always came first with Luke.
The choir came first in all sections of the competition.
Dublin is thought of first and foremost for its literary heritage. Dublin is thought of first and foremost for its literary heritage.
She regarded herself as a teacher first and last, not a writer.
Tickets will be allocated on a first-come, first-served basis.
At first, Gregory was shy and hardly spoke.
I felt quite disappointed at first.
The 3-0 defeat was a first for the team.
These results are firsts in the history of women's athletics.
I think he'll agree to it. That will be a first. I think he'll agree to it. That will be a first.
I was against the idea from the first. I should have known from the first that the relationship would never work.
Helen got a first in law.
You should be in first on a hill like this.
He put the car into first and roared away.
There are now many similar housing projects, but this was the first.
We hope this year's festival will be the first of many.
I always thought my sister would be the first to get married.
James was the first to arrive.
The first I knew he was in York was when I got an email from him. The first I knew about it was when Tony called me.
Queen Elizabeth I. Queen Elizabeth I.
First aid.
First aid. Being given first aid at the scene of the accident probably saved his life.
First aider.
First aider.
First aid kit.
First aid kit.
First base.
First base.
He plays first base for the Red Sox.
You got into first base if you landed an interview. You got into first base if you landed an interview.
Firstborn.
Firstborn.
Her firstborn son.
First class.
First class.
We prefer to travel in first class.
This is a first-class wine.
His writing is first class.
If I send the letter first class, it should arrive tomorrow.
Travel first class.
First class.
First class.
This is a first-class wine.
His writing is first class.
If I send the letter first class, it should arrive tomorrow.
Travel first class. First cousin.
First cousin.
First degree.
First degree.
First degree.
First degree.
First edition.
First edition.
An impressive collection of 19th century first editions.
First ever.
First ever.
Her first ever television interview. The first ever visit to China by an American president.
First family.
First family.
First floor. First floor.
A flat on the first floor.
Fire broke out on the first floor of the apartment building.
First fruits.
First fruits.
The first fruits of the government's privatization policy. First gear.
First gear.
First generation.
First generation.
The first generation of handheld computers.
The first generation of radical feminists in the U.S.
First generation Americans.
First half.
First half.
First hand.
First hand.
Journalists with first-hand experience of working in war zones. Experience gained first-hand.
First lady.
First lady.
The first lady of jazz, Billie Holiday.
First language.
First language.
First lieutenant.
First lieutenant.
First light.
First light.
Firstly.
Firstly.
Firstly, I would like to thank everyone who has contributed to this success.
First mate.
First mate. First name.
First name.
Her first name's Helen, but I don't know her surname.
First night.
First night.
First offender.
First offender.
First officer.
First officer.
First past the post.
First past the post.
Britain's first past the post electoral system.
First person.
First person.
A first-person narrative.
The Great Gatsby is written in the first person.
First-person shooter. First-person shooter.
First rate.
First rate.
He's a first-rate surgeon.
First refusal.
First refusal.
I'll let you have first refusal on the car.
First responder. First responder.
First strike.
First strike.
First string.
First string.
First-time buyer.
First-time buyer.
First world.
First world.
First world economies. First world economies.
First World War.
First World War.
Firth.
Firth.
The Firth of Forth.
Fiscal.
Fiscal.
A fiscal crisis.
Sound fiscal policies are required to combat inflation.
A fiscal matter.
Fiscally conservative. Fiscally conservative.
Fiscal year.
Fiscal year.
Fish.
Fish.
Over 1,500 different species of fish inhabit the waters around the reef.
The stonefish is the most deadly of all fishes.
The lake is well stocked with fish.
You usually drink white wine with fish. In Japan, people eat raw fish. Oily fish is supposed to be good for you.
I felt like a fish out of water in my new school.
Dad really loves to fish.
A Japanese vessel fishing for tuna in the Eastern Pacific. A Japanese vessel fishing for tuna in the Eastern Pacific.
She fished around in her purse and pulled out a photo.
A Japanese vessel fishing for tuna in the Eastern Pacific.
She fished around in her purse and pulled out a photo.
Chris fished in his pocket for a coin.
Other nations are forbidden to fish the waters within 200 miles of the coast.
It's sickening the way he's always fishing for compliments.
Are you here with your wife? She asked, fishing.
The body was fished out of the East River a week later.
Eric fished a peppermint out of the bag.
Fish and chips.
Fish and chips.
Get some fish and chips on your way home.
A fish and chip shop.
Fish bowl.
Fish bowl.
Being in a small town like this is like living in a fishbowl.
Fish cake.
Fish cake.
Fisherman.
Fisherman.
Fishery.
Fishery.
Fish-eye lens.
Fish-eye lens.
Fish farm.
Fish farm.
Fish finger.
Fish finger.
Fish fry. Fish fry. Fish hook. Fish hook. Fishing.
Fishing.
Fishing is one of his hobbies.
Terry's going fishing at Lake Arrowhead next weekend.
Fishing line.
Fishing line. Fishing rod. Fishing rod.
Fishing tackle.
Fishing tackle.
Fish kettle.
Fish kettle.
Fish meal.
Fish meal.
Fishmonger.
Fishmonger.
Fishnet stockings.
Fishnet stockings.
Fish slice.
Fish slice.
Fish stick.
Fish stick.
Fishtail.
Fishtail.
Fishwife.
Fishwife.
Fishy.
Fishy.
There's something very fishy about him.
A fishy smell.
Fissile.
Thistle.
Fission.
Fission.
Fisher.
Fisher.
Fist.
Fist.
She held the money tightly in her fist.
Malcolm clenched his fist angrily.
Dooley stood up and shook his fist in her face.
Varney slammed his fist down onto the table so hard the dishes jumped.
Fist bump.
Fist bump.
Fist fight. Fist fight.
Fistful.
Fistful.
A child clutching a fistful of toffees.
Fisticuffs.
Fisticuffs.
Fist pump. Fist pump. When she won the final game of the set, she did a fist pump. He is often seen enthusiastically fist pumping when he wins a race.
Fit.
Fit.
His clothes did not fit him very well. The uniform fitted her perfectly. The jacket's fine, but the trousers don't fit. I know this dress is going to fit you like a glove. I'm being fitted for a new suit tomorrow. He may need to be fitted with a hearing aid. I couldn't find a key which fitted the lock.
Most cookers are designed to fit level with your worktops.
The plastic cover fits neatly over the frame. She fitted the last piece into the jigsaw puzzle. I wanted to put the wardrobe behind the door, but I don't think it'll fit. You might be able to fit some small flowering plants between the larger bushes. I don't think we'll be able to fit any more people into the car. We should be able to fit one more in.
I need to fit a lock on the door.
Anti-theft devices are fitted to all our cars.
The windows are all fitted with security locks.
The punishment should fit the crime. Police said the car fits the description of the stolen vehicle.
Scientists often select facts to fit their theories. He didn't fit the conventional image of a banker. The rhythm should fit with the meaning of a poem. His natural authority fitted him for a senior position.
We wanted an experienced sportscaster, and Wagoner fit the bill.
So you think I'm a liar? Well, if the cap fits.
I never really fitted in at school. I wasn't sure if she would fit in with my friends. The doctor said he can fit me in at 4:30. The doctor said he can fit me in at 4:30.
I wanted to fit in a swim before breakfast.
I don't know quite how this new course will fit in.
A new building must fit in with its surroundings.
You can't expect a baby to fit in with your existing routine.
Some of the patients we see do not fit neatly into any of the existing categories. Some of the patients we see do not fit neatly into any of the existing categories. How does this fit into the company's overall marketing strategy? How does this fit into the company's overall marketing strategy? She fitted into the team very well. The office had been fitted out in style. The new recruits were fitted out with uniforms and weapons. Look, the tubes fit together like this. Pictures show you how to fit it together. Telecom and computer businesses fit together well. The rooms are now fitted up with electric lights. I knew that I had been fitted up.
You must be very fit if you do so much running. He was young, good-looking, and physically fit. I swim twice a week to try and keep fit. He may not be fit for Saturday's match. I don't know if I'll be fit enough to take part in the race.
Psychiatrist said he was fit to stand trial.
She's over 80 now, but still as fit as a fiddle.
I had just come back from holiday and was fighting fit.
We made sure the land was fit for drilling. The food was not fit for human consumption.
This book is not fit for publication.
He's not fit to govern this country.
This room is not fit to be seen.
The government saw fit to ignore our advice.
Sort out the problem in any way you think fit.
I was still very shocked and in no fit state to work. We'll have to make sure the house is in a fit state to receive visitors.
The meal they provided was fit for a king.
It was getting late and most of us were fit to drop. The girls were laughing fit to burst. The girls were laughing fit to burst.
I was fit to be tied when she didn't come home until 2 a.m.
She killed him in a fit of temper. He quit his job in a fit of drunken depression.
She used to have fits as a baby. She used to have fits as a baby.
People who suffer from epileptic fits. He had a violent coughing fit.
The girls collapsed into a fit of the giggles. We were all in fits of laughter trying to clear up the mess.
Carl had us all in fits with his stories.
If your mother finds out about this, she'll have a fit.
The dress was a perfect fit.
I managed to get everything into the suitcase, but it was a tight fit.
We must be sure that there's a fit between the needs of the children and the education they receive.
Technology advances by fits and starts.
He spoke in fits and starts.
The patient was fitting.